Yo, what is up, guys? Partywaffles here, and today I'm gonna make you guys a tier list of the best races in PvP for Death Knight. Okay, it's gonna obviously take into account cosmetic and racials. Okay, mostly racials, but cosmetic has a little bit of a say because you have to look good to play good, right? So let's go ahead and get right into this, guys. We're gonna rank these for you here, right here. Okay, so we're gonna start at the top. Let's go with Undead. So the racial for Undead is pretty bad because we already have Lechborn, and they look kind of mid. So, unfortunately, it's going to be a C tier for Undead. Valkyria is just terrible in PvP. C tier. Let's grab a good one. Night Elf. So, Night Elf is going to go up in A tier, okay? First of all, female Night Elves. They look insanely good. Second of all, the Night Elf racial is insanely good. I've lost games because of people using their Night Elf racial many times, right? Like, they'll use it when they're like 2% and I'm about to kill them, and I'll think that they killed them, take my hands off the wheel, and boom, all of a sudden I lose, right? Or you can meld a bolt, you can shadow meld, whatever. It's just actually really good and really versatile, and they look good, so that's a strong A tier contender. Lightforged Draenei, this is terrible. We're going to put this down here because, yeah, it's just bad, right? It's just bad. Worgen, again, this is pretty bad and pretty ugly in my opinion. Of course, the aesthetic is going to be subjective slightly, but yeah, we're going to put that in C tier. I don't think they're very good in any way, shape, or form. Dark Iron Dwarf, we're going to put them up into the S tier, okay? Female Dark Iron Dwarfs, A, they look clean, right? They look clean. Second of all, their racial is insane, okay? Not only does it get your bleeds and everything off you like that, and there's a lot of feral druids, there's a lot of assassination rogues, but it also gives you a shit ton of damage. It's scaled crazy in this expansion, and it's a literal ton of damage now, apparently. So, on to the next one here. Let's do something crazy here. Nightborne. So, their racial does some damage, so it's not completely useless, right? It's not completely useless. They look kind of decent, so we'll put them in B tier. If they were ugly, we would put them C tier, but based on the fact that they kind of look all right, we're going to put them in B tier. So, Human, okay? Human is going to go up in the S tier in my opinion, and probably most people's opinion. It's a very high A, or it's an S. The reason being, if you're fighting something with stuns, like say you're fighting only a team with stuns, you can run double damage trinkets as Human, okay? Or even if you don't want to run double damage trinkets, you can have your normal trinket, use it, and then you're going to have your racial come back before your trinket would have came back, so you can get out of stuns even faster. So that's definitely a really good race right there. One of my main DKs is one of those. A Human. And let's see, the next race we're going to have here, Mechano. So most of their racials are kind of decent, and they give you like scaling mastery, okay? So we're going to put them into the B tier just because their racials are kind of useful. Like the one saves you, like it's a heal, and the other one gives you some mastery, so which is actually kind of nice for Death Knights. Next thing we have here is going to be, let's do something crazy, guys. Let's do something crazy. We're going to grab Draenei, okay? So you might be wondering, A tier? That's insane. Partywaffles, you're off your rocker. No. Listen, hear me out, okay? One of my main Death Knights, Doomburst, you may have seen them on the ladder, right? We ended number 1 on the entire ladder as Doomburst last season. And you might be wondering, what race is Doomburst? Well, Doomburst is a Draenei, okay? Once the red skin version for the Draenei came out, the demon skin, I made myself a female Draenei, and honestly, the craziest thing, the last 2 seasons, my Draenei has been my highest rated DK. So I'm going to put them A tier, okay? Number 1, the female Draenei's look really cool, especially with the new demon skin you can put on them. Number 2, the racial is by no means useless, okay? It's a 20% heal, and your other one passively gives you strength, which strength is our best stat, and a heal is kind of nice, right? I throw that heal on my teammates in a solo shuffle when they're doing a go on them or something like that. It can sometimes be the deciding factor. So if they looked like shit, like if you were forced to play male Draenei, we'd probably put them down in B. But since they look cool as a female, subjective obviously, and they have decent racial, I'm gonna put them A. So yeah, remember this is for Death Knights though, okay? This is for Death Knights. And one thing I want to say also is if a race isn't high tier on this list, and you don't have to play a high tier race on this list, okay? You could play anything on this list as a Death Knight and succeed, all right? I have a ton of races on my Death Knights, and honestly, I don't think race matters a ton for Death Knight as much as it does for other classes. So I just wanted to say that, but let's keep this moving here. So the next thing we're going to put on this list here is Let's go with Troll, okay? Let's go with Troll. I actually think Trolls are pretty good. They give you haste. They have some decent racials. The only problem with them is that they're pretty ugly. But I don't think they're bad by any means. They're good. They're just don't look cool in my opinion, so I wouldn't personally play one. Next thing we have here, let's see. We're going to go with Blood Elf. So I actually have a Blood Elf DK, and I like it a lot. Mainly because I think female Blood Elves look really clean, and they look like... I make my characters for aesthetics, okay, obviously, but they just happen to work. But I think the Blood Elves look really clean. Their racial is not useless either, okay? It's not useless. It's a purge, right? It's an AoE purge. So if you're in solo shuffle or something like that, and they bop, and you don't have a purge on your team, there's a chance that you could get the bop and win the game, right? There is a chance. So it's not a completely useless racial, and they look cool. But do they look good enough to put them... Honestly, I'm putting Blood Elf A tier. Like, I almost always have had a Blood Elf. I've played Blood Elf back in the day. I'm putting them A tier. Next, we have Gnome, okay? So, Gnome looks decent, and they have a root break. But it's not completely useless, right? We already have Wraithwalk, and if we're playing Horseman, we have the 2 other root breaks. But say you're not playing that, and you're not playing that, then you could use the Gnome for the root break. So, it's not completely useless. They look decent. That's a B tier race, in my opinion. Let's go next. Okay, Torin. So, I don't actually think Torin is bad at all. They have multiple different, like your crits are going to be bigger, you get some stamina, and you have a stun, okay? So, you can use that stun for Frost to say, get a Shroud off somebody, or you don't have Asphyxiate anymore as Unholy, so you could have an extra stun, right? And then all their ratios are kind of useful, so they're not really very good looking race in my opinion. But I would put them A tier. Again, that's subjective, though, about the looks, right? So let's go grab this one. Panda. You might be wondering, why is Panda up here? This isn't Miss of Pandaria. Well, you're right. But Panda DKs are actually kind of nice for Frost DK. So they were really broken for Frost DK before this season. Like in the previous seasons, the reason being was you could Asphyxiate, Panda in cap, and then you could use your Dragon Stun to get all of the Shrouds off an Evoker. Now, we don't have Asphyxiate anymore, right? We do not have Asphyxiate anymore. You have to choose between Asphyxiate and Silence. So we can't really do that, for say, what I just told you about. But what you can do is, you can Panda in-cap somebody, and then, so they can't go away, and then you can grip the other person and blind them together, and it just makes your life smoother, right? So Panda's a good race for Frost in particular. Let's see, what else? Kultiran. We're also going to put Kultiran up in A, all right? So this is, again, this is Death Knight PvP. So Kultiran has a knock, okay? It's kind of, this is a little bit niche, but in, say, like Battleground Blitz or something, okay? You can Death Grip and you can Death Grip someone and knock them off the map single-handedly by yourself with the Kultiran. So say you're in a team fight, right? You're fighting for the flag mid in Eye of the Storm, for say. And there is... say it's a healer and a DPS versus you, and you're a Kultiran. Well, what you could do is, if you're not playing Silence and you're playing Asphyxiate, what you could do is you could grip the healer to the edge, Asphyxiate him, and then you could Kultiran punch him off the map, and then you could 1v1 the other guy, and then boom, all of a sudden you just 1v2 to healer DPS, right? Which seems pretty OP to me in BG Blitz or something like that. So, I'm just because of the new bracket in BGs, I'm going to put this higher, just because of the single solo carry up potential, I feel like. Because you could just kill someone instantly, right? Like one person out of the team fight completely. And you have enough grips to do it. Alright, let's see. What's next? What's next? Okay, Goblin. We're going to put Goblin in the B tier. It's pretty bad in my opinion. They look okay. But the saving grace for Goblin is the rocket jump, okay? The rocket jump. Because say you are trying to get a blind and someone's just gapping you, you don't have a gap closer to connect up or to connect to them. You can kind of just rocket jump, get the blind, and do some crazy plays with that. It's super niche. It's kind of like for style points, but at the same time, it's not completely useless. So you could definitely handle that. Next thing we have here, Orc. So my main Death Knight is Orc, okay? Partywaffles, my main Death Knight, has been an Orc female for so long, and it will probably continue to be. The reason being, pet damage, and then blood, the we have like the on use damage, right? I forget, Blood Fury, I guess. So we have Blood Fury, we have the pet damage, and we have the stun reduction. So Orc is just solid, passive, big damage, just S tier race. Like, it's just the way it is, right? It's been like that for a long time. So let's go next. Void Elf. Again, Void Elf is going to be kind of niche. Void Elf is down in the niche ones, right? Like, you have like a teleport, but it's a really long cooldown. It's like your rocket jump. You could use it to like debate somebody maybe or something like that. It looks cool. The race looks cool. So that's kind of its saving grace, but I don't think it's super insane or anything like that. If you're a female, they look pretty cool. Maybe it's A tier, but realistically, it's probably B. All right, let's go next. Zandalari Troll, I don't think these are good at all. I'm going to be honest. Like, you have a thing that fully heals you or whatever, but if one thing touches you, like one dot or anything like that, it's going to stop. So, like, in BGs, it's not going to let you full heal, right? One dot will proc, and then it'll just be GG. All right, guys. One thing, though, upon further inspection, we've actually decided that Undead is actually B tier, okay? Think about it, right? Undead Death Knight. I was actually an Undead back in the day for a long time. The racials aren't very good, right? Like, Lichborn, you already have Lichborn, so it's not super ideal. Touch of the Grave doesn't proc much, but it looks cool, and we're going to give it a B tier just because the racial kind of does something, and it looks cool. So we're going to actually move it up because I don't think it's the same tier as these, right? I just don't. So let's go next, boys. Dwarf, we're going to put in the A tier. It's a little bit downgraded version of a Dark Iron Dwarf. Downgraded aesthetically. Downgraded in the racials, but it still has good useful racials, okay? It's very, very ugly. Very ugly. But it's okay, right? So the next thing we have here, this is gone, right? Death Knight can't even be dragons, so. All right, guys, so Mag'har Orc, we're going to put it as A tier. They don't look that bad. Their racials are actually kind of good, especially for Unholy Decay. It gives your pets 10% more health. You have mount speed, which doesn't really matter too much, but reduces the duration of poisons and diseases and curses, which is also going to be nice for this season. And then obviously you can invoke your ancestral call, which gives you a random secondary stat. So not quite as good as normal Orc, but it's just kind of like a downgraded version. So those are A tier. All right, guys. The final thing we have here is going to be the High Mountain Torin. They have their Bull Rush. It's okay. I don't think they're very good at all. They're definitely not as good as the normal Torin. They're also kind of ugly because they're a Torin. So I'm going to throw those into the B tier. And then Drakthir again. Death Knight can't be Drakthir right now, unfortunately. So yeah, there you have it, guys. There is my Death Knight PvP racial tier list, all right? The best at the top, the worst at the bottom. Again, one thing I want to say, you don't have to play one just because it's high, though, right? Like, say you like Volpera. If you like Volpera and you want to be a Volpera, you can beat one, right? Like, this is not going to make or break you. This is not going to make or break you. Remember, my highest Death Knight in the last 2 seasons was a Draenei. And, like, no one plays Draenei, right? And it got my highest. So, I promise you the racials don't matter that much for DK. So, just pick what you actually like. I just got it. But if you want to min-max, here you go. Here's your list, right? If you want to perfectly just min-max, there it is. There we have it, boys. There's my Death Knight PvP racials tier list. The best at the top, the worst at the bottom. If you guys like the video, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment. And I will see you guys in the next one. If you guys want to catch me live, I stream 5 days a week. Twitch.tv/PartywafflesX. New expansion stuff's going to be hype. We're going to be slaying it. I'll see you guys there. Take it easy. Peace.